I get those goosebumps every time you come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. 713 through the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low key. I'm sipping low key and honest, flying right up. I get those goosebumps every time you come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side, oh. I get those goosebumps every time.
Aha, the goosebumps. Nervous, Pete? Are you a little bit more nervous now? I know I'd say a lot of people are staying away from Twitter or anything that's on it is exploding. But how are you feeling? Are you a bit nervous now after that today?
No.
That's the right answer. Correct.
Yeah, I'm not nervous at all. As I keep maintaining, and I've maintained it for a couple of weeks now, it's in our hands. Yes, it's not the result that we want, and we'll get into that, no doubt about it, but not nervous. 2 home games, St. James's Park, as all the opposition fans and players have said from clubs, most intimidating place to play football in the Premier League this season. What we've got to be nervous about? Still in our hands, boys.
It's still in our hands. You are right. You are right, Pete. We are running out of those little things that could keep ourselves at ease. But yeah, it's all on to that game on Brighton on the 18th of May, Thursday night actually. So. But let's talk about this one. Let's talk about this one first. We're just going to get straight into it, Pete, and we will go and we'll look at the permutations and how they change as well towards the end. But let's get on to this one. This was our team for the day. Right, changes. Miggy's back, and Eddie Howe went with Isak and Wilson from the start again. For Leeds, there was no Gonto or whatever you call him. He was on the bench. He did come off on about 60 minutes, the young 19-year-old, to try and cause some damage towards us. But what was your thoughts on the lineup, Pete? First of
all, surprised, if I'm honest, for a couple of reasons. I didn't expect Isak and Wilson to start again together. Yeah, and I was surprised that Miggy started. I thought he would continue with Murphy, but it was more of a pleasant surprise because he had bigged him up and said he's now 100% fit. So it was kind of like, all right, okay, he's going with his strongest 11 almost, which was gave me a little bit of confidence. But I've still got it in the back of my mind, and the game today kind of continues to get me to feel it and think this way: is that it's not that it doesn't work with Isak on the left and Wilson up top. Is just that we don't have the same type of star firepower coming off the bench, like in numbers. Maxi comes off the bench, but you'd rather a Maxi and a Wilson come off the bench, or a Maxi and an Isak. That's what you would rather come off the bench. So yeah, that was the only thing that kind of ran through my mind. But what were your thoughts, Daz? How did you?
Yeah, I was expecting either an ASM or a Gordon to start, and I thought Murphy would stay on. I thought Miggy be on the bench. So I was a bit surprised when I saw that. I was actually cutting my lawn when the team came through. So when I came back in and I saw your messages, I was like, oh, okay, right. But look at it. It's not no way am I going to criticize Eddie Howe. He wanted to try it out again, and look, Arsenal was a game that was difficult to judge how it worked. I don't think we are getting the best out of Isak out in that left. But there's no way you can drop Isak. But equally, you can't drop Wilson because he's on fire as well. So it is very difficult situation that Eddie's in to picking a team. And look at what he went with today. I thought when I saw it as well, I thought, okay, we're really going for Leeds here. We're going to go right from the start, and we kind of did. I'll get into a bit of that, but maybe I will just go straight into that and go while we're going through the match. And okay, so yeah, and Eddie even said it in his press conference there as well. It's all about the first 15 minutes, and that first 15 minutes were very interesting. Both teams it started really fast. Newcastle were all over Leeds up until their first shot on the 6th minute, and then Luke Ayling put the ball in the net. There was the ball came in, saved by Pope, and Ayling was the quickest to the rebound. Really, here's a little picture of it. And but yeah, our defense was a bit sloppy there. Could have been more awake, I think. But what did you think of the first goal we conceded there, Pete?
There's a few things, Daz. I've got to be honest. First and foremost, it was their first attack. We controlled the game up until that point. It looked like it was only going in one direction, and then all of a sudden they get the ball on down our right hand side. I genuinely thought the cross came in too easy. It should have been out. We didn't do enough to get close enough to the ball. Secondly, people were all out of position. If you watch it back from the angle that's down the line of the defence, Fabian Schär's way out right alongside Trippier. Why? I have no idea. It then took him a while to get back into position. But in the meantime, what's happened is that Botman's had to go up to cover his spot. Burns gone then up to cover Botman's spot. And Isak's effectively expecting, or is expected to be a left back in tracking that. The ball comes in, no one there to win it. Good header. Poor save. He saved it, fine. Everybody knows the basics of goalkeeping, that if you save a ball like that, if it's last ditch and your fingertips, literally fingertips, fine. But he had a good hand on that and he pushed it back into play. You always push it to the side. You always push it away from goal. Because even if a player is running in on that, it narrows the angle and they have to either put it across goal or produce something special. But he's put it right back into his path and he's finished it. And there's an accumulation of things there. Isak, this is the downside to Isak playing on the left because he's an attack-minded player. He's not defensively minded. So him expecting to fill in as a left back, it's not his forte. Don't blame him for that. But all the other positional bits of that defence in the build-up to that, including stopping the cross, I wasn't particularly happy with.
Of course, yeah, and the defence, and then Pope's with his palm out was wrong. But Pope went on to redeem himself after that. We move on. We go to 26 minutes. J7 tackled in the box, and it was a penalty. He got his legs caught up with Junior, who had an eventful day. But and that one, it was a Stonewall penalty. And at this stage, as Bamford, and I think Pete Graves had a great tweet about this, as Bamford is stepping up for that penalty. When we're 1-0 down, you're thinking, okay, Newcastle are always coming back, especially when they score so early. But 2-0 down, if we go 2-0 down, that's a difficult to come back from that, especially away from home. But Bamford steps up. It's a brilliant save from Pope, and he makes sure to get rid of the ball this time. He scoops the ball out of play. So fair play to Pope there. He definitely redeemed himself from maybe an earlier mishap out in the other goal. But thoughts on that one, Pete, on the save?
From the penalty spot, superb save. It's a lottery with penalties sometimes, but he's gone the right way. He's given himself half a chance, made the save, but the recovery to get up as quickly as he did, and he kind of he wanted to catch it, and he almost what he's done is he's corrected himself from the first goal, because first of all he's made the save, But secondly, he did what he should have done the last time, is that not only has he saved it when it's bounced up again, rather than catch it and go 50-50, he's just pushed it away out for a corner. That's exactly what he should have done the first time. Pushed it away from goal. Brilliant goalkeeping, and like I say, he's almost redeemed himself from the first goal by making that save, and it was at such a crucial time because you could see when we conceded the penalty, heads dropped massively. I don't know what Joe Linton was doing, going to ground in that position, trying to win the ball when he was never ever going to try and win the ball. He's gone to ground because he's trying to slide to win the ball. He's never going to win the ball. So just hold your man off, make it difficult for him. He might try and get a foot to the ball, but if you're holding him off, you're going to take him off balance. He's not going to get the type of connection that you would expect. Yeah, it was just poor for the penalty, but Pope superb.
Yeah, Joe Linton, you could see that he was delighted when Pope did give a big hug after that penalty save. But then 29 minutes, this is where I suppose the game changed a bit, because 3 minutes later, Eddie switched Isak more in towards the middle, and Isak got tackled in the box. Definite penalty for Newcastle, and the coolest man on the pitch. They talk about Isak as being the Iceman. Callum Wilson steps up, puts the penalty in the corner. The goalie did go the right way, but it was unlucky not to touch it. But it was a nice little penalty from Callum Wilson. And yes, of course, I have to do my bigotry celebration from Callum Wilson for that one. And here is one or two little images for that. And Pete, what was your thoughts on I suppose it was a nice little one too that Isak had there to win the penalty. But your thoughts on it?
To be fair, they had to do something different, and they did. They switched formation, so they brought Isak in as a number 10 to drift in and around Wilson. They went with a two-set midfield with Joe Linton and Bruno. They had Miggy on the right, Willock on the left, and it worked, because instantly you saw that Leeds didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to pick up Alexander Isak. He was less easier to mark when he's drifting into spaces. And yeah, I mean, it was a blatant penalty. The one thing I will say is that when Isak didn't pick the ball up, I was like, no, because I was like, no. I look, Wilson took penalties and scored for Newcastle. And to be fair, his penalties today was superb. It was a superb penalty. No keeper saving that into the side netting. But I don't know. There's just something about his stance and how he strikes the ball with a penalty. It doesn't always fill me 100% with confidence. Whereas Isak's done it before. He just strikes the ball so well, so clean, and just whips the ball. I just thought he's got to take it. But look, Callum Wilson, he's got ice in his veins when it's an opportunity to put the ball in the net. So who am I to question our top goal scorer in our number 9?
Yeah, imagine we get another penalty during the week. I think Callum Wilson's going to be taking that as well. As long if both of them on the pitch, I think he will grab it off him. But then I kind of likened the game into like a cup final. It was so intense, and it was a bit end to end at times. Newcastle are definitely the better side, but it was nervy and it was feisty as well. The referee did let a lot go, I must say as well. He there was a lot of challenges that were let go, but then I'm bringing it to around the 45-minute mark. Miggy had a curling shot and was just wide, but that took us to half time, and 1-1 at half time. Let's zoom on. Let's go straight into the second half. And then we were stuck with that 4-2-3-1 kind of formation then, with Isak just behind Wilson. And on 51 minutes, Wilson had a half volley shot. Newcastle got a corner out of that. Then it looked like ASM and Gordon were coming on, but no. What happened next was we got another penalty. Junior again, he touched the ball, hands raised. There was and touched the ball, giving a penalty to us. They went to VAR because they were looking at maybe possible offside, and they were looking at a possible push, but none of that was true. It was just a penalty to Newcastle, and up steps Callum Wilson again. Now the keeper did his best to try and put him off as well. And it took an age for that penalty to actually happen, especially with the VAR as well. But up he steps, bang, 2-1 Newcastle. At this stage, I'm thinking, yes, we're going to go on and win this now. But what was your thoughts on that move, Pete, and Wilson's penalty?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't see the handball myself straight away. I just saw the ball come in and Isaac get a head on the ball, and I thought, the header worked great. It was a poor header. But then when you see him running, literally sprinting to the ref holding the hand, I'm off my chair at that point, and I'm like, please, like, I'm begging. And then when you see it, look, it's a penalty. Why it took so long to award it, I have no idea. It's a penalty. You can't have your hand up that high, unnatural position, and it touches your hand, whether it brushes it or you slap the ball with your hand, doesn't matter. It's a penalty. Penalties have been given for far less, in my opinion. So, yeah, at that point, I'm thinking, this is it. This is the lifeline. That's for sure. But Geordie Team for Life on this point makes a great point. So can anyone explain on our second penalty why the yellow card wasn't issued to, I think he's to Junior Firpo, who was already on a yellow card? I'm not sure of the handball rule these days. And yeah, I think it's a great point, because I was fully expecting him to be sent off then, because
then we would have won the game. We would have won the game then, because there was plenty. That was about the 70th match mark, or just before it. So the way 20 minutes, or probably around 25 minutes to finish them off at that stage, because getting sent off on the 90th minute or so, it's too late to make a difference.
This is why it's a talking point now. For the reasons that you've said, is that if we score the penalty and they're down to 10 men, they don't get back into the game. In my opinion, they don't, because they're leaving gaps in them behind, and we exploited them time and time again, even with 11 men after that point. But with 10, they can't get forward with the same type of confidence, and if they do, we hit them on the counter, because we're full of confidence. So yeah, it's definitely a talking point, that's for sure.
There's another talk about, and I don't have it in my notes, and because I don't know what time it happened, there was another penalty shout where Wilson got the push in when he's in the box. So it would have been before this penalty, but nothing ever came. But
in the first half,
was it the first half? Okay,
it was in the first half. It was not long after he'd scored the first penalty, so it was just before half time. And Weston McKennie. So the ball's coming up into the air in the box. Wilson's in front, so we're looking to win the header, and there's a knee and there's a slight push in the back, but it sends him to ground. And to be fair, on BT Sport, Jermaine Genius, he says, I don't understand why that wasn't a penalty. It should have been a penalty. And the commentators or anyone else didn't really make it a talking point, and it might have been considered a soft penalty to some, but he's stopped him getting hold of the ball cleanly, and he's gone into his back. He's anywhere else on the pitch, the ref gives a free kick. So yeah, another talking point there, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So we're 2-1 up at this stage. I'm 71 minutes, and ASM and Gordon come on. Miggy and Wilson come off. And now about 5 minutes or so later, I'm looking at Isaac, who's our only striker now, and he just looks like he's out of juice. So I was just thinking, was it right to bring off Wilson? Should he have maybe thought of bringing off Isaac then? But anyway, look, it doesn't really matter. We carry for.
I would stick with that point, because I think you've made a really, really good point there. And it'd be interesting to see people in the chat's opinions on this. Should Eddie Howe have made the changes he planned to make before we plan to bring Gordon and ASM on before the penalty, but the penalty comes, we score it. At that point, should those subs still be made? I'll be honest with you. I don't believe they should have. Wilson's just put us 2-1 up. His confidence is sky high. Adrenaline's running. At that point, I would have given him another 10 minutes. I would have took it. For me, I would have took those existing players another 10 minutes. It would have been sky high, energy going. They want to protect the win. I'd have given that team the opportunity to see us out for another 10, 12 minutes. And then with 10 minutes to go, 8 minutes to go, you make the changes. I just thought it was too quick after that.
Yeah. I thought the same when it was happening, but and we're allowed to question things. We still in how we trust, but I would have thought as well. I would have played it on another few minutes just to see how it settles down and then make the changes as well. But we'll move forward. 74 minutes. ASM. ASM puts the ball in the back of the net, but Isaac goes well offside. You could see it straight away. You knew that wasn't going to count. That was a correct decision. But then 78 minutes. So 7 minutes after those substitutions, Leeds got a goal. Christensen takes a shot. I think it was a corner before that, but the deflect it did come off a couple of Newcastle bodies before that, but his shot came off Tripp's head, which is unlucky on Tripp's there. Because he had blocked it right before that as well, and he had the hands down beside, so it wasn't going to go to a penalty or anything. There's enough of penalties there today, but unlucky that one with him. But any thoughts on that Leeds second goal from Christensen?
I personally thought that we should have never given him a corner. The ball's come over to the back post. Trippier's tried to head it back towards Pope and ended up heading it out for a a corner kick. What he should have done is not head it towards goal, just defend it away. If he'd have headed it away into space, we could have moved up as a team. So I just thought that was poor from Trippier, who didn't really have a good game today. He made a lot of bad decisions in the game. There's people in the chat that are saying very, very similar. I'm sure we'll get onto him later on. But yeah, for what happened after the corner happened after the corner. Unlucky from Trippier there, but we should have avoided the corner in the first place, if I'm honest. And this is part of what we're doing now. We're putting pressure on ourselves. It wasn't the first time in the game that we did that, and I'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay. Then shot from ASM on the 85th minute, 86 minutes. Anderson came on for Willock, and the 90th minute, Junior got sent off for his second yellow. There was a foul on Gordon right on the line, and was a free kick to us. Then he, as we said earlier, he should have been sent off before that. Then 91 minutes, it was 6 minutes at a time. Trips took that free kick and went into the wall. Then an intruder comes on the pitch and goes over and has a word with Eddie Howe, which was ridiculous. That was allowed to happen. Then the 96th minute, you're thinking, okay, are we going to be doing this as we start the show? Fingers twirling. Shar had a volley and a good volley, and it was saved. But final result, 2-2, and you know what? I think fair play to Leeds. They're battling relegation. They deserve something from the game today. So and for us, we were the better team, but didn't have the best of days really. Relying on 2 penalties to and a penalty save from Pope to get something from the game is not good enough. But we're still battling for this fourth spot, third or fourth spot, the Champions League spaces. It's still in our hands, so all is not lost. We just need to pick it up in the next game. But Pete, your thoughts on today's game?
Look, it's not what any of us wanted. We wanted to go there and get the 3 points, but being honest, we didn't play well today. We didn't play anywhere near the capabilities. Whether we got sucked into the atmosphere and the intensity and all the stuff surrounding Leeds United, I don't know. Whether I really don't know. Someone else put in the chat earlier, it wasn't like Leeds didn't give us opportunities. I thought Leeds were dreadful today. They were really bad, particularly defensively. They kept giving us the ball time and time again. There was late on into the second half where they weren't even defending at times. We were counter-attacking them and they weren't even getting men back. They just looked out of their feet, and we didn't punish them. So for me, that's down to us not doing enough in the game. However, we could not afford to have lost this game. We'd be sitting in fourth right now, and the pressure would be on us. The fact that we're still third after today, not getting 3 points, just tells us that we're everything is still as it should be in terms of what we need to do to get where we want to go. But we're going to have to be a hell of a lot better on Thursday. Brighton come to town. People are talking about Brighton and how good they are. It won't be an easy game. They're coming off the back of a 5-1 defeat, and they're about to go to the Emirates tomorrow. So we don't know what type of shape Brighton are going to be in come Thursday. So it can't be all about us. But this is it. This is what you play your seasons for, Daz. This is why we want Newcastle United to play at the top table. If we're going to be at the top table, if we're going to be fighting for Champions Leagues on a regular basis, fighting for trophies or titles, you're going to have pressure games like this today and the games to come. And it's about how we manage those moments that will tell me and us a lot about, firstly, some of the players that we've got in the squad and some of the players that we hold our hopes on. How they manage this situation tells us a little bit about, them as people and whether they're ready for these big moments. So it's a big test for everybody. Big test for everybody. We're not expecting to be in this position. Some of the players that we've got in this squad have never been in this position before. Or were they a little bit nervous today? Maybe. You'd expect it. But we now have to navigate ourselves through this. And it starts with Eddie Howe. He needs to navigate his players through this moment. And I go back to the point. We'll put the league table up in a second. I go back to the point that we talked about before. Newcastle United have got their next 2 games are at St. James's Park. As we said before we went live, and we've said it just at the beginning of the show, Newcastle United at St. James's Park is the most intimidating place to go in the Premier League, okay, alongside probably the Etihad. But I would argue maybe even more so. Okay, no team wants to come to us at the moment, and our next 2 games are at home. 52,000 fans backing them, war flags, everyone behind the team. You see what we did to a brilliant Arsenal team for long parts of the game on Sunday. Yes, we lost it. If we create that again against Brighton and Leicester, I don't see us losing either one of those games, and actually I can see us winning both.
Well, let's just go straight there, Pete. Before we go to do ratings, before we look at the league table, let's just look at how it panned out. And look, both myself and yourself, we predicted a win for us today. We were wrong. We got it wrong. But we also said that there'd be a draw in these 4 games. So that's a draw to the way. We might as well win the next 3 now, and just or even 2. That'll do. But yeah, and we said Man United would win, and they did. So let's hope that Leicester can cause a shock. It'll be a shock to everyone if they can get something from Liverpool on Monday night. And also, we're still expecting Arsenal to do the business against Brighton on tomorrow. But then, as Peter said, then it's our 2 home games that and it's just a blessing in disguise that we have these home games here, because and people are talking about it in the chat as well, nervousness, like the lead up to the cup final and stuff like that. But being at home, that has to settle people, I think, a bit. And all onto this one on Thursday night, massive game for us. Will not be the final determining our fate for the season, but it'll go a hell of a long way towards it. So everything is on that. I'll move away from this now. Again, I just want to highlight as well our goal difference out of this part to it. We've got 32 goal plus 32. Man United have plus 10, and Liverpool have plus 25. That's currently. So it could. Who knows? It might even go down to goal difference. And so you imagine Liverpool will have theirs will increase, and hopefully ours will as well with a few wins. But if it doesn't, it may come into play later on the last day. But let us see. So that is just about the run in. Let's talk about ratings, Pete, though, before we go to the league table. Maybe we'll take it in groups again. For keeper, Popey, bit of fault for the first goal, the penalty save, the second goal. You can't really blame him for that. He did come out of his goal a few times and did a kind of volley clearance and long clearance. I'm going to give Popey a 7 for today. Yeah, I'm going to give him a 7.
I'm going to give him an 8 just because of how big that save was in the grand scheme of things in terms of the game. It was a big save at a big moment that kept us in the game. He had a similar moment against Brentford, although they eventually did go 1-0 up. But that was a crucial moment there. We could have been 2-0 down, and I think it would have been very, very difficult to get back in the game at 2-0. So, yeah, I thought he came out well and swept the ball really well. I thought he came out and collected 2 or 3 big collects that took the pressure off the defence. There was elements of his game that I thought were good today. Nothing you could do about the goal. Where it goes in, it's literally right next to the post. There's nothing you can do. So yeah, the only downside was the first goal that he conceded. He could have done better. So yeah, that aside, the fact that he redeemed himself, I give him an 8.
Okay, cool. Let's take the back 4 then, all in one group. Okay, at times they're a bit sloppy. Trippier did get a good tackle in the box in the penalty area and didn't give away it was, I think, the counter said that's how to tackle in the box and not give away a penalty. But altogether, I'm going to give the defense 6.5, a collective 6.5, and then conceding 2 goals against a team that's in relegation in spaces. No, I know they're up for it and they're battling, they're at home and blah blah blah. But 6.5 is what my rating there for the defense.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, Daz. 6.5 collectively for the defense. Yeah, we need to do some shopping in the summer, big time. There are improvements that need to be made. We need a new left back. We need a new right centre back. I don't think Shaw's been playing well at all recently. And I don't know what Burns doing half the time, but he is not in his position. Honestly, the amount of times that he goes wandering, he gets sucked in on the halfway line, and then Botman's pretty much playing as a left back. There was a number of issues today that happened on more than one occasion, and it was not a good look. Look really quickly. I'll show you.
Yeah,
I'll show you. This happened time and time again. So I'll take this out. I'll move around the Leeds players. But what you found so many times in the game is Burn here. Okay, so we were up here, moved up the pitch. Burn was sucked into his position here. So he was out of position already because he's not where he should be. And then when he loses the ball, there's a big gaping hole in this area. So who has to go over there? Botman. Where's the gaping hole? Just here. Shaw has to go over. Trippier has to go over. So already we're out of sync. Now what you need is Burn to get back. And at times he did, but at times he didn't. And that's where this man is missing. Because he's the one that sweeps up here and here on either side of the pitch. That's why I miss him. Bruno doesn't do that. He didn't do that. He stays central. So then you're expecting Willock to get in there. And that's Willock's downside defensively, is he's not defensive minded. It's not his fault. He's learning that part of his game. That's never been his game. His game's about getting up here.
Yeah.
What you need is that support in here. But the key thing is, in that position, because Burn keeps getting sucked out of position, Botman then has to come over and do the job. What you want is Botman here. You want the team to be here. If the team stays as set as it should be, there's no problems. And then Willock can come as a second man to come and protect here, as it should be. And that happened time and time again. I noticed it 3 or 4 times in the first half, certainly more times in the second half as they were pushing, and they got a lot of joy off the back of that. It doesn't work. For me, this guy needs to be here. He has to play here. I know that Willock likes to play down that left and run on the ball. He's got a good link up with Isak. He has to play here because he can protect here. He's big enough, he's strong enough, he's defensively minded to get in there and do the job, especially if we've got Bruno here that likes to stay central. It's his game. He's not a Longstaff. He's not that way inclined. So that was just a little something that I saw in the game that happened too often, and it came from Burn every single time.
So, Pete, follow-up question there. So, would you consider a target to go in there against Brighton, or do you think he'll stick with Burn?
I honestly think he'll stick with Burn.
I think he'll stick with Burn.
There's been many a time he could have brought Target in, and he hasn't. So I don't see where he's going to change it. I genuinely don't. We could have done with Target in moments today, particularly that free kick at the end. A left side, someone that's left-footed, just to stand on it, just to be an option, just to offer something different. We haven't got it. We haven't got a left-footed someone that can offer that little something extra. Miggy was already off the pitch by then. We need an alternative to deliveries. Some people have talked about it: corners, free kicks. Jesus Christ, they remind me of the Pardew era where they just lumped it up to.
Every time we get a corner, Pete, I feel like just going, you might as well just hand them the ball back, because we never do anything from a corner. It's so frustrating every time we get a corner. And how many times the defender gets the head net wide? We're so bad at attacking corners. It's
honestly, what you've just said is absolutely spot on. And half of the time we don't even win the first header.
Yeah,
it gets put into an area where there's full of the opposition players and they just clear the ball. It's very rarely that we work something where we get the first contact, and if we do, it's a timid contact. So it's a little flick or a little nick down, and then they just clear the ball. Like, there's nothing concrete. There's nothing with conviction. We've got some of the tallest players in our team that should be doing better. Dan Burns, 6'5" plus. Botman, 6'4". Isak, 6'4". Shaw's good in the air. Joe Linton's good in the air. They've all proven it at parts in the season. Yeah. But for some reason, none of them seem to be in the right positions for when the balls come in. It doesn't seem like there's a communication there. It doesn't seem like they've worked on it. I bet they have. But it just seems like the ball's being whipped into an area. It just seems like Trippier's trying to do something different every time. But what he's trying to do is not being communicated with what the players do. So, if he's going to put a ball in, how about you mix it up and have a Burn or a Botman run near post and try and get on the end of it, or a little flick on to the back post, and then someone else is there waiting. There's none of that. It doesn't seem to be none of that understanding. Like, we've had moments. We had a brilliant free kick play against Arsenal where we won the penalty for that was then overturned. I go back to a couple of set plays earlier on in the season, like the Bruno Gomes goal at Brentford, and we've had moments where things like that have worked, but we don't seem to do enough of it. It just doesn't seem to be communicated or collective in any way. I don't know.
Yeah, no, like, for corners, no. For everything else, yeah, we're creative, and you go, oh, that's something new. Okay, it didn't work out or something, but they tried something different. But for corners, it's frustrating. Right, we'll talk about the midfield. More difficult to kind of pick an overall score for midfield, because I'm giving Bruno a 6.5, I'm giving Willock an 8, I'm giving J7 7. Of course, J7 gave away the penalty. Bruno's passing was a bit off. He got better as the game went on. The first half, I thought his passing was a bit off, but Joe Willock was the standout in the midfield for me. So I get 6.5 Bruno, Willock 8, and J7 7.
Bruno 6. Joe Linton 6.5. Joe Willock 7.5. That's how I'd do it. I thought, again, the midfield is at times part of the problem. These three are not balanced enough to work together as a midfield. They're just not, and you can see it on the pitch. We need a combative number 6 that can get around the pitch, that can break up play. Obviously, we keep talking about Longstaff, but long term, we need a better alternative even to that. Moving forward, this is why I think, from what we've seen in the last couple of games, this is exactly why that Bruno cannot be on number 6 long term moving forward. That's why he has to move into number 8, because today he just wasn't at it. He wasn't. He really was poor. That's 2 games in a row he's been poor now, and he knows it. You can tell. You can see on his face. You can tell he's not playing. He knows he's not playing well. He's trying these risk passes, which is part of his game, by the way. He's a risk player. He plays on the cuff, but on the edge of things. But some of his passes today, you're thinking, what are you doing? Just keep it simple. If you're not playing well and confidence is low, keep the ball simple. Keep it ticking over. Okay, don't keep trying those additional passes if you're not confident that you're going to make it. You need to build your confidence up to then be able to play those sorts of passes. And they were just running out for goal kicks and all over the place, and it just didn't work. Joe Linton, I thought, was poor in the first half. Was a little bit better in the second half, but and Joe Willett was really, really, really good from an attacking point of view, but defensively, he's got work to do. He has, because he doesn't protect his defenders as good as he should, and he doesn't track back as well. It's a conversation for another day, but he does need to work on his defensive ability. But look, what he gives us going forward is very, very good at times. So we have to give and take.
Yeah, exactly, Pete. Right, let's go to the attack. Okay, Miggy, I've said I'm between 6.757 for Miggy. I was going to say 7 for Miggy. I'm going to say Isak playing out wide. He's a lot of work to do when he's playing out wide. He's better in the middle, as we know. It's just getting the best out of him. He gave everything today, and he was jaded come the last 15 minutes or so. I'm giving him a 7 because he won both penalties really first. Wilson, cool head from the penalty spot. And I'm giving Wilson an 8. So altogether, 7, 7, and 8. With, I suppose, Wilson being the best because he scored both goals, but Isak put in a good shift. And Miggy coming back for his first start. He did try his best. Nothing really worked out for him, but I'll give him a 7. Pete.
Is this for Miggy? Just for Miggy?
No, Miggy, Isak, and Wilson.
Okay. Miggy was a 6. I thought he was anonymous. I don't see what he did today, and I fully expect Murphy to be back in the team on Thursday. After that, Wilson, I'm inclined to give him man of the match for 2 reasons, because he was ice cold with 2 very, very pressure point penalties. In terms of what he did within the game, he was big, strong, held up the ball. He does what he normally does, makes things difficult for defences. I thought he had Leeds' defence rattled at times, but I would say those penalties for me were top penalties in the highest of pressure points in games, in an away ground that was a cauldron at times. I thought both penalties were outstanding. I'm going to give him an 8.5 for that. And Isak, I actually thought Isak played quite well. He wasn't really in the game too much to begin with. When he switched to a number 10, he was far more effective. I would probably give Alexander Isak, give him a 7.5. Oh, are you on mute? I think you're on mute. He's definitely on mute. Something's gone up wrong. Something's gone wrong. Here we go.
Sorry,
He's back.
I thought it was my headphones. You hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
I can hear you. Hey,
It's all
this is
gone.
great.
It's all gone Pete Tong. It's all gone Pete Tong. But no, he's just sorting out his
I can hear you now. Can you hear
I can
me?
hear you. Yeah, all good. All good.
My internet is dying a bit as well. So sorry about that, Pete. It's going picking up now again. But cool. Let us move on. While my internet is still good, let's look at the table. That was the ratings. Let's move straight to the table. So here we are. We're on 30. We played 35 games, 3 games left, sitting on 66 points. Man United won today as well against Wolves, 2-0 in the end. I think was the result. I was watching the end of that, shouting Wolves on, but no joy. So they're on 66 points. So we're separated by goal difference. We have 22 goals over Man United there. So we're when it comes to goal difference, we're good there between them. Liverpool, who play on Monday against Leicester, we're all equal and played 35 games now actually. They had 62 points. So we are 4 points. Both us and Man United are 4 points ahead of Liverpool. And Villa bet Spurs today, so they're played 36, both of them, and 57. We don't need to worry about them anymore. They can't pass us out, so forget about them. It's all about here. I'll even zoom it up because it's all about from here up. That's all we need to worry about. Sorry, and Brighton as well, I should say. Brighton, I nearly did a Jordan Corner there, who ruled out Brighton as well earlier today. Where there were these quick maths, but no, Brighton are also have a say in things because they have 5 games to play. But if Arsenal were to beat Brighton tomorrow, the maximum Brighton could get would then be 67 points. So, that's just one off us where we are. So you would like to think that Brighton, if Brighton lose tomorrow, then they may be out of the equation a bit. Your thoughts on the table, Pete, as it's looking now? I suppose we've kind of touched on it already, but what are you thinking?
As I said, it's still in our hands. We have 2 massive home games in a short space of time. Brighton at home, which is the big one because it's the next one, and then Leicester. It's crazy to think that we could be in a position where we relegate Leicester on, a week on Monday. We could, if they don't get anything from from Liverpool at home on Monday, they then come to us the following Monday, and that could be lights out for them. With a week to go, because it could be that other teams pick up points and it's beyond them. So will that ask them to come out and be a little bit more attack minded? Yes, but defensively they leave gaps all over the place. If anyone watched the Fulham game, geez, they were bad. So ideally what you'd want is for them to take points off Liverpool, which puts us in a more positive spot. If they take a point or 2 off them, it could be that a win in one of these 2 games takes us to our total that we need. So we might only need that 1 win, and then it's 4 points could then be enough potentially after our next 2 games. So it could all change very quickly. At the moment, there seems to be a lot of kind of nervousness or negative feeling about whether we're going to get Champions League or not, or the worry of Liverpool catching us. And I understand it to a point, but I'd understand it even more so if we were sitting in 4th on 65 points and Liverpool win on Monday and they go joint level with us. Like I would understand that, and they hammer their goal difference and bring them within 2 or 3. I would understand that, but we're still 4 points ahead of them when we're at the same amount of games. And you look at the league table right now, and we're on 35 points. 35 games played.
We are?
No. Not 35 points. We're on 35 points back in like what God knows how
Yeah,
long.
we'd be down.
We're on 35 points back at Christmas time.
It's a slip up, but yeah, but like we'd be down there Forest, yeah, in between Forest and West Ham if that was the case. So yeah,
Sorry,
those days are well gone.
I switched into old ownership mode. I apologize for that. But no, like we're all at 35 games each, right there. We are 4 points ahead of Liverpool. Okay, so we are where we need to be. We go and beat Brighton on Thursday. It takes us closer to that total, 69 points. Okay, then it's up to Liverpool. Okay, Liverpool might win against Leicester. They might not. Fair enough. But then the big one for them is that they have Villa at home. Villa obviously won against Tottenham today, and they look like they're kind of back in form. That game is not going to be easy. So they've got 2 games now: Leicester away, Villa at home, where they could drop points. So what we need to do is focus on ourselves, get the points on the board, get St. James's Park bouncing, give the team full support because we're going to need it. At these times in the season when players are tired and it's coming towards the end of a really tiring season where they've gave everything for us. They've given everything. You think of how intense we've played for 35 games this season, non-stop press, non-stop work rate, the ground we cover week in, week out. Yes, 1 or 2 did look tired today, but you would expect that because of how much we give, and we've got a small squad. So I think someone put in the chat earlier, yes, the fans might be up for it, but those players have got to step up. They have got to step up. You're absolutely right. But we need to show them that we're behind them. We need to get behind them. At times, we don't. Sometimes we when they come out, we're up. The flags are out. It's all great, and then when we get into the game, it's silence. St. James's Park. We cannot have that. We need people singing. We need people chanting. We need people getting behind them for 95 minutes of that game because that's what gets them through. They said the same about Southampton in the second leg, getting them to the final. They said the fans got them through that because of the chanting, because of the atmosphere. It gave them that extra 10%. We need that. If we want to play Champions League football and do what no other team in the league or club in this country thought we were capable of, we need to back them 110%. So we need a big atmosphere on Thursday. And I'm confident that they'll put a performance in that will back the support that we give them. 100% guarantee it.
Yeah, and I guess in summary, people, there is no need to panic at this moment in time. Like, if Liverpool were to beat Leicester, if we were to lose against Brighton, if Liverpool were to win against Aston Villa, then maybe you could panic going into that Leicester game. There's plenty of time to panic then. But at the moment, there's no need to panic. It's still all in our hands. And let things, some things have to play out that we have absolutely no control of. And then it's onto that Brighton game that it's something that we can try and play a part in, and obviously the players have a massive part to play on Thursday night. So that's what we're looking forward to. So that is the league table. Pete, maybe we should go to take some questions. I know you've been trying to get through the chat there. There's a lot of messages with it. With 2 of us, it's hard to get through it everything. But what are you thinking on the questions, Anthony? You want to focus on?
Yeah, I mean, there's more so comments and discussion points rather than fully fledged questions. So I'll just run through them and we can just discuss some of them as we go along. So Steve, welcome Steve. Evening loading peeps. Good to we didn't go for the throat after our second goal. They were there for the taking and we sat back and let them back into the game. Is that what you felt, Daz? Did you feel like we kind of sat back a little bit?
Yeah, it was linked to because Isak was offside, but ASM put the ball in the back of the net, and then and before that as well, we talked about it a bit. The substitution, maybe if we held off a bit and stuck out a bit longer, and then made them when it wasn't as emotional then for Leeds to try and get straight back into it. It might have seen the game out. And of course, the other thing is that the player Junior should have been sent off earlier as well. So there's a few things like that didn't go our way, but as Pete Graves tweet and if we're watching ourselves, as Bamford is stepping up to take that penalty, Leeds are 1-0 up. If they gone 2-0 up, it might have been a bit out of sight for us then. So we'll have to take a point.
Definitely. David Cook's put on here, Pete's having a mare. How can Leicester take 1 point off Liverpool? I meant take points off of them. I mean, as in get 1 point, as in a draw. I take a draw. Would anyone take a draw?
Oh, yeah.
Because that means Leicester have taken points off Liverpool. That's 2 points off. That one takes down, I think, is it right in the league table? That's their final total then is 69 points rather than 71. Is that right?
Yep. I have the spreadsheet in front of me. Yeah, that's the way it would go.
That's what I meant, David.
It would be 3 points off. 3 points off by the Champions League then, more than likely. Like only barring goal difference. But yeah. We are something like that. But yeah, bring on that result. I'll take that now.
Definitely. I think Foxy and one or two others put in the chat actually about, it's not a given that Leicester go to the King Power, Liverpool, go to the King Power and win. It's not a given. Leicester can be a difficult place to go for teams, but Leicester have got it all to play for. Like, this is like one of their final games at home this season. They're going to want to create an atmosphere and make sure that the fans are behind them because they need points on the board. You look at Forest, have got big wins recently. Leeds took a point today. Other teams around them are picking up points. Look, Everton got their big win at Brighton. Leicester haven't had that big win yet. Who's to say that it can't be on Monday? I'm not saying it will be, but who's to say it can't be?
Question for you, Pete. You're doing nothing Monday evening. Would you go along to the King Power and shout on Leicester against Liverpool?
Not a chance. Not a chance. I'll be sitting at home watching it on TV, mate. That's where I'll be.
Ben Jacobs has a ticket for you if you want it.
Yeah, he might have a ticket for me, but he could give it to someone else. There's no chance. But look, I can cheer on and hope that Leicester get a point from the comfort of my home rather than go and go to the King Power. The only time I go to the King Power is in the away end when the black and white boys come to town. That's when I'm at the King Power, mate. So yeah, but no, there might be one or two Newcastle fans that do. Doubt it. Well, some of them that are based more around the Midfield.
Yeah, maybe.
They might want to go down there. But we'll see. Some other good points and comments popping up in the chat. So don't worry if we haven't said your point, or if we didn't put it on the screen, it means that I've just kind of saved it. Trippier for Prime Minister put this quite early on, to be fair. Might have covered some of these points. So many players were poor today, but I'm so tired of Miggy. No right foot, laughably predictable, kills attacks regularly. I hate to say it, but he is not a good player. His purple patch just hid that. Interesting points from Trippier for Prime Minister. Normally makes some spot-on points, as we've seen over the last year or so. What do you make of that, Daz?
I wouldn't be as harsh, and I know I gave him the 6.757 rating because it was his first start back. But there was those triangles that he likes to play that were kind of it didn't work out, but they were back in fashion again. It is a bit weird that he did drop Murphy, because and I know he said in the press conference that Nagy was 100% fit now, so. Because Murphy didn't even get a look in, and he's played every other game since, so it is kind of a bit weird. But as I think we said the other day, if we got a decent offer for Miggy, we'd consider it.
Yeah, definitely. It's we talked about it this week, didn't we? We said it might be just because he signed a new deal doesn't mean that he stays at the club. It could be a way of getting some value for him. So definitely one to watch. I didn't think he played well today personally. I thought he was poor. I thought, someone put it, I don't know if someone put it in the chat or someone put it on social media, and I thought it was a really good point. Someone said, this is their words, I don't believe Jacob Murphy deserved to be dropped from the game today. for Miggy. I don't think he did enough to be dropped. Sean in the chat is saying Miggy was injured.
I didn't hear that.
I've not heard that personally.
Neither did I. And it wasn't mentioned in the press conference either.
No, or before or after the game. About Murphy.
And he was on the bench as well.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. He was very animated on the bench as well. There's a few decisions. For example, you could see him when I think was it Joe Willock when Firpo comes in with a challenge that potentially could have been a red card. He's in the background and he's very animated and going mad. But yeah, I just thought, very very interesting that one. One thing we haven't done, Daz.
We almost forget. Hit that like button. I did put a message at the top of the chat before we came on, so people to see that it's pinned at the top. So I'm sure everyone has hit that like button already. And if not, do it now. Do it now. And if you're chatting in the chat, that means you're a subscriber, because we've set it to subscribers to chat. So anyone that's new, welcome. And make sure you tell everyone to hit that subscribe button or hit that like button. And thanks, Julie, for reminding everyone.
Yeah, definitely. What I says, beat Brighton and we should be there. Beating Brighton is going to be the thing. I think he's right. Beating Brighton is going to be the key thing. But Daz, what are we saying about it then? Is it squeaky bum time for Newcastle United? What do you say? Drew's
no. I think I'll go back to my little monologue there where I said about don't panic. I think if Liverpool beat Leicester, if we lose to Brighton and Liverpool beat Aston Villa, then it's squeaky bum time, because we have to win those last two games kind of thing, and then at the end just to make sure of it. So no, it's not that stage yet. It's every game is important, but it's building. The momentum is building now towards an all or nothing job here. At home, Brighton are a tough side though. I know when we did look at it, they were the ones I was kind of worried about it, and I wasn't so much worried about Leeds. That didn't work out great, but no, not squeaky bum time yet, Drew.
Yeah, nearly there, but not quite, and hopefully we don't get to that point. That's for sure. Tony's put, I'm very worried because today we're really pulling the gap, and the gaps Madison and Brighton will exploit. Worried we are in for a hiding. I wouldn't personally go that far, but are you worried about maybe gaps that Madison or team that players for Brighton could potentially exploit?
Brighton on their day are brilliant. I really like the McAllister guy, and they have there's a few more lads there that are very good for Brighton, but they haven't been at the races recently, and they have so many games all close together. Like they play on the 14th, they play on the 18th, 21st, 24th, 28th. So like they're playing a game every 3 days or so. So it is very tight for them. And because they play Arsenal tomorrow, and then they play us on Thursday. So I'm not so much worried about Brighton in the run in on the day. Yeah, we have to be up for it. We're at home. There's no choice in this. We're at home. We need to be doing the business.
Yeah, definitely. 1 second, there was a few other questions come in. David Cook's put a question for me. But as a non-season ticket holder, how do you manage to get into the away end tune tickets? I do it like many others do. I don't live in Newcastle, so I haven't got a season ticket. I did back in 02-03 for a season, but living in Leicester, it's a long way to travel every week. Having a family and mortgage and all the rest of it, it's not viable for me. So I do it like many other people do. I ask around for people if they're not going to the game, have they got a ticket. I get offered tickets all the time for people that can't make the games, but I only take tickets that pay face value. I'm not overpaying for tickets. I got offered a ticket for the cup final. I didn't take it. Why? It's because they're offering £200, £300, £400, £500, £600. I'm not paying that. That's a mortgage to some people. So I will only go to games where I pay face value. And many other people do the same. I don't get to all the games. I can't make all the games, but I try and make as many as I can, and only if it's affordable. So
a follow-up question there.
Many others.
A follow-up question there. Would you only purchase a ticket then off someone you know, or or someone contact you know, or someone else knows that you know really, really well?
Being a supporter of Newcastle and going to games since the early 90s, firstly with my brother when I wasn't old enough to go on my own, when he used to take me to games to the point where I was old enough to go on my own. I've built up a rapport of contacts for a number of people that go to home and away games. So I am very lucky. It's been 30 years. And me and my mates in Leicester, you met Lowell, and Ricey, that was at the Leicester game with on Boxing Day. We always had different contacts and different people. I'm lucky enough to live in Leicester, but be surrounded by 5, 6, 7 Newcastle fans that live in Leicester. So we've all got different contacts and different things and people that we know. But yeah, it's the only way I'd be able to go. But as I say, I'm not the only one in that boat. There's many others in that boat. And look, I would love to be able to just pack up and move to Newcastle. I know my wife would want to do that. We were talking about that over when we were up in Newcastle. My wife would want to move to Newcastle like straight away. But having young children, it's not quite possible right now. And if I was lucky enough to move to Newcastle, I would get a season ticket or attempt to try and get a season ticket. If
I'd
possible.
be all on for that, Pete, because I'd have a place to stay then. Be great.
There you go. But yeah, good question, David. Thanks for asking it. But yeah, I'm just like lots of many other fans that do exactly the same thing with regards to tickets. But another one in here.
Dave was happy with that answer as well.
Yeah, there you go. I don't travel as far as you, David. So fair play to you. Been traveling that far, and yeah, like I say, if I could do it, I'd do it every week. I'd do it for every single game because I love Newcastle. I love going to games. But as I say for you, mate, it's one of those things where financially not viable or can't get there for other reasons. It is what it is, but it doesn't mean that we love the club any less just because we can't make it every week. Daz lives in Ireland, for example, and I know personally because we spoke about it, you cherish the times you get to come over to Newcastle and watch games. You love it. So passionate about it. Like we were just going mad at the Southampton game and the Forest game earlier on the season. So it doesn't mean that we support the club any less. It's just that through our locality and where we're based, we're just not able to get to games as readily as people that, in my opinion, are very lucky to live in Newcastle. Some people might feel differently about that, but it's such a special city. You guys get
the other thing is, living in Ireland, it's only like this is the first season I got to go to 2 games in a season, and that's like amazing for me. But doing this, then it just kind of, it feels like you're part of it, but doing all this YouTube stuff and talking to people in the chat, it's all about Newcastle. So it's like you're all part of it. It's at the games, but you feel a part of it. So that's bonus for me.
Definitely. I just want to put this one up here. Pete and Daz, I said it all along. Miggy 3-year contract was to get a price in the summer. To be fair, he did mention that to us. Fair play, Alan. Alan's always on the button anyway. He knows the score. Are you concerned about this? PDK, welcome to the chat. Great to have you in there. No clean sheet for the last 16 games, Daz. Is that a concern for you?
Great to see PVK back. I know I typed it in on the way it is, but great to see PVK back. I'm not going to play that music tonight though, PVK. I'm going to hang off for another the next reaction show. But yeah, it is a bit of a worry. And then after 6 minutes, that was out the window, and then the commentators said it as well. So it's like, it was the foundation we built our season on to get us this far. Those clean sheets and then Miggy on fire, getting those wins. But yeah, it would be nice to get one of those back again and build something to build on then as well. I'm sure it's not gone unnoticed as well in the training ground. So yeah, a big concern. How about you, Pete?
It's a little bit of a concern. I'm not going to lie. Our early form this season was built on the solid foundations of having a rock solid defence, and it just doesn't look rock solid anymore. So I'm a little bit concerned. I don't want to be in a position where we have to outscore the defence. That's what I don't want us to be. We create a lot of chances. We've scored a lot of goals in previous games, but you want to be able to rely on the defence to be solid and not concede. So yeah, it's a little bit concerned. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, this isn't the Kevin Keegan days. It's the Eddie Howe days. So
Yes.
it's what our foundations are built on. So please, on Thursday, a clean sheet would be nice.
Yeah, definitely. Philip Ray, one of our members, has put a comment in. Next season, we hear all VAR discussions. Are you all for that?
Oh, for that, yeah, why not? It's going to be very interesting. Will it show them as well? I wonder, or you just hear it? So either way, it's going to be add another dimension to the whole discussion, really, isn't it? And because our discussions after games are trying to fathom what way they were looking at. I know Richie really does kind of he lives for that those kind of things, but it's going to be really interesting to hear those discussions. So yep, bring it on, Philip.
Yeah, good stuff. Foxy said the Gordon ASM change makes sense when drawing or a goal down, but then again, who do we have to bring on to hold the lead?
Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose it links back to the decision of playing Wilson and Isak together, and yeah, if well, but he wouldn't have made a change after 6 minutes though either. You know, he would at least wait until half time to make a change. I can't see him making a change anytime sooner than that. Yeah, it was a bit unusual that he stuck with that decision. It was 1-1, and he was going to make that decision. Then we go 2-1 up, and he still makes that decision, and then they score 7 minutes later. Just the timing of it was a bit off.
Yeah, I would agree, definitely. Just in response to something you said earlier, Daz, with regards to the question from PDK about defence. Naz NUFC, welcome Naz NUFC. I don't think I've seen you chat before. Hope you subscribed. Great to see you. Defence wins championships, and in our case, gets Champions Leagues. So you know, it's a great point and a valid one. That's for sure. There's another one here. Where was it? Hold on. I've gone all AWOL. I apologize. Okay, this is the one from Les. Welcome, Les. Was on the news that the bloke who got to Howe has already been arrested and got a life ban. Leeds need to investigate how that happened. How was that even allowed to happen?
It's ridiculous. He got as far as Eddie Howe. Look, he should have gone straight to Jason Tyndall, really, because he's the main man. But he got to Eddie Howe. And someone was saying, someone was on Twitter said something like, of all the people that you had to go and get banned for life and get put in jail for, it's Eddie Howe. You go. There's so many more managers that you could. I don't know what he was trying to do in the first place, but he just wanted to have a word with them or something like it, because when he got to him, he just like.
But he shoved him. Did
he show him? I didn't see that. Okay.
He got into his face and pointed or did something, and then shoved him, like because where the badge was, you see him push him away, and that's where Eddie Howe kind of gets animated a little bit.
I don't get it. Like okay, you shouldn't be doing that to anybody or any manager, and if but Eddie Howe doing it to Eddie Howe doesn't make any sense. What did Eddie Howe ever do to Leeds? You know, apart from today draw a match, you know, it ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely. It's madness. What was said, Eddie Howe said he's not going to repeat what was said, but he clearly said something to him. Looks like it was a Leeds fan. They need to investigate massively, because Eddie Howe was quite right in saying it could have been very different. If that person had come there with something of a serious nature, he's been able to get to our Newcastle manager without any type of security. And actually, lots of you in the chat have mentioned this, is that actually the security that did eventually get him was Newcastle-based security. So where's the Leeds security? So the guys, and there's been a lot on social media, and obviously being a wrestling fan, I was laughing at it, because there's one guy with a big beard, looks a little bit like Triple H, one of the wrestlers, and he's the guy that you see in the quite a tall guy, and he races over and he grabs him, and he's one of them that ushers him out. Those guys that you see running in behind Eddie Howe, they're the Newcastle security. So where is the Leeds security? And it just goes to show that someone else on social media said to me, it's a really good point. It's the same at Goodison Park. The security at Goodison Park is also shocking. And these old type grounds, although they hold a lot of history and a lot of culture, which is great, actually for security in the modern day, not so good. And this is a big concern now. So, really, really poor. I'm just glad that it was throwing, expletives and words at Eddie Howe and not anything more serious.
Exactly. If you look at it, could have been an awful lot worse. It's just that, it shouldn't have happened. Simple as that.
Definitely. Sean Taylor says, our problem is a lack of competition, and because of that, lack of rotation. Would you agree with that, Baz?
Lack of competition. Okay, in the forward line, we could do with another forward, but we had that good competition with Isak and Wilson when when he's only playing one, so that was good. Lack of rotation. Look, our back line is solid. Look, we don't have anyone to come off the bench. Like we talked about, a threat from corners. Lascelles is someone that was with threat from corners. That's one or two times he has played for us. He's done well. Of course, he's injured at the moment, and he may never play for Newcastle again. But we know where we harp back to this again. It is a project. We're excelling in where we are. We didn't think we'd be anywhere near this at this stage. The summer we're going to be in Europe next season. I think we're guaranteed Europa League now at this stage. But because all we needed was a point, didn't we say the other day? But so there's going to be players coming in, and it's just a matter of what European competition we're going to be in, what our prize money is going to be in, the sponsorships, and blah 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 blah, and we can invest and bring in more quality players in the summer.
Yeah, enjoy the 2 for life. Enjoy the 2 for life adds to that as well. We had 4 fullbacks on the bench. The lack of numbers, and it's true. With ourselves out for the season, it does mean there is a distinct lack of numbers.
It would have meant, so we had no centre back, I think, there. So it would have meant that if one of our centre back pairing, like if Bernard got injured, Byrne would have moved in there, and then like Trippier would have, or either Manquillo or Target would have come on. I suppose so. Yeah, we are short in numbers, but that will be corrected in the summer and the following windows after that.
Yeah, there's a few that have question marked ASM today and said he came on and was rubbish or wasteful. I didn't personally see that. I don't, if I'm honest with you, I don't see that ASM did any different to Gordon. I don't think either of them really kind of set the world alight when they came on. But ASM seems to be getting a little bit of stick in our chat tonight. Not quite sure why. Go on.
Yeah, look, I'd rate them the same as well. Neither of them did anything great. Okay, Sam had the ball in the back of the net, but that one was offside. Isak drifted offside. Where was it the game before this? ASM came on and he did a nice little cameo, but yeah, today, and I put Gordon and ASM in the same bracket. Neither of them did anything great. And I suppose people have it in their heads now that ASM is a game changer. So you bring him on, and it's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And he hasn't started a game for a long time either. So he's lacking, I suppose, match sharpness as well. So don't be expecting too much from ASM between now and the end of the season, or
Yeah.
that's a challenge to ASM. Bring it on, bring it on.
Yeah,
Prove
there
us
you
wrong.
go. Yeah, exactly. That's what we want from all players. Michael Power said, I have zero opinion on AFSM's performance today. He did mess up a great chance to cross once, though. He did, but he put another couple of crosses into the box, set up a couple of attacks. But so did Gordon. So, as Dad said, I think they're both the same. I don't think they did anything. Peter, come on, if Maxi got a hat trick, he still get a stick for not scoring for you. You know what?
Not from us.
Yeah.
Maybe from our journalist from Middlesbrough, Graham
Bailey,
Graham Bailey, yes. ASM or Graham would have something to say about that actually. But let's see how Graham gets on in the playoffs. Actually, how does that Sunderland game finish? I didn't watch any of
They
that.
won 2-1. They won 2-1.
I don't want to know.
If anyone's not seen Ahmad Diallo's goal, it was an outstanding goal for Sunderland to make it 1-0. He's a supreme talent. He's on loan from Man United, but it looks like he doesn't want to stay at Sunderland after the loan. I think he wants to go and play abroad. He doesn't like the style of play apparently, which is interesting. So yeah, he could be doing some good work for them, but they'll fall flat without him because he's been the difference maker. Without him, they would have never made playoffs. Some other comments about ASM. William Smith said Gordon slightly better than ASM. Fair enough. Hold on. Another one. To coin a phrase, if it wasn't for Maxi's off, it wasn't Maxi offside for the goal. No, it wasn't.
It wasn't. No.
Michael Owen, please. Welcome if it is the real Michael Owen. But yeah, Maxi had a shot on goal. Who else did? There's other comments coming in from Maxi. Maxi was fine, worked hard, nearly scored, just wasn't the right sub at the time. Yeah, I'd agree with that, Foxy, spot on. But ASM gets no individual blame for the result. Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely fine.
I just want to go back to this one. If your name is Michael Owen, I feel sorry for you. If you're a Newcastle fan being Michael Owen, that must be awful. I can't think about it worse.
Tell us if it's your real name. Yeah, not that Owen. He's something. Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, glad it's not the real one.
Is it your real name though, Michael?
That's what we want to know. But whilst we're waiting for that, and we'll come to some other questions, Lisa quite rightly said 177 plus in the chat, only 68 likes. Come on, people, let's get over 100 before the show ends. That's for sure, and it helps us to move forward. We've seen a lot of new people in the chat tonight. Welcome. If you've clicked subscribe, we're well on the way to 6K. Under 600 now. I think 550 or near to that away from 6K, which would be a great landmark for us. So come and support us and join the Loaded family.
My goal's back.
It is. Oh no. That's a burnable. No way. Could he just get like the share or something on the back instead? So madness.
Oh my God.
I do feel sorry for you, especially Michael as well. Like, could have been a different name and no one would have been battered an eyelid. But fair play to you. Question from Michael. For the same amount of money we spent on Gordon, could we have gotten Eze from Palace instead, and that would have been a better use of that money? Interesting points. To be fair, Eze aside, you could have had a few people that we could have maybe paid that money for. Are you sort of questioning that signing at this stage yet, Daz?
No, I'm not questioning. No, I'm not questioning the signing of Flash yet. I think, as you've said before, Pete, a big preseason from Gordon, and we'll see what he does next year. look, Chelsea were going to pay 60 million for him at one stage. Before that, Chelsea they spend money. This was even before the new ownership came in. So I think, yeah, if we come to this stage of the season next year and Flash hasn't done much, then I'd be going, okay, that wasn't the greatest move ever. But let's give him he deserves a full season, and he's very young as well. A season under Eddie Howe can do him wonders, and there'll be plenty of games as well. Could be European games as well, so he'll have plenty of opportunity. It's probably a bit frustrating for him as well, not being he's used to being a regular starter at Everton, so he's only making cameo roles now at the moment for Newcastle. So too early, Michael.
Too early. Alan Thompson's put a couple of points in, but one of them was, don't worry lads, I played for Aston Villa, Newcastle, the Celtic, and people still say, are you really Alan Thompson? Love it.
Great answer, Alan. and I think you're in relation to the Longstaffs as well. Well, nice one.
Quality. He's come back with another point as well. Not necessarily a question, but he's put Brighton play tomorrow, so we have another day's rest on them. So we've got a slight advantage. Liverpool draw Monday, and we beat Brighton. It's job done. This is what we've been saying, and this is why both myself and Daz have not come on negative or pessimistic about things. We can be a little bit nervous, of course you can, but it can change very quickly. We're expecting Liverpool to win their remaining games, and we have to get to 71 points, but who's to say it's not? Who's to say Leicester don't pick up a point? Who's to say, if Leicester do pick up points and we get the win at Brighton, it's job done. It can be done that quickly.
It can all change in a flash. And it could be Flash or ASM or anyone that'll make the difference. Who will step up in these last three games and be the game changer? Could even be Paul Dummett off the bench yet. You never know.
Oh, imagine that. Paul Dummett gets his Champions League football. His last kick of a ball for Newcastle. Right on his club.
It won't be. There's more chance of it being Matt Ritchie, but he's injured, so he's out for the rest of the season, so it can't be him. So who is going to be our saviour? It definitely won't be you, Michael Owen.
Lisa's put on here, I promise to do my duties on Thursday, and we'll leave SJP without a voice. Yes, we can always go on with Lisa and many others in the chat that regularly go to SJP, and I know for a fact that you'll be shouting the boys on to 3 points, and hopefully we're there and we get that. But Jordan 25 put, look, special mention for Callum Wilson having his best ever goal return in the Premier League. Am I right in thinking it's 17 now?
I don't know. I didn't. He's definitely our top goal scorer so far, but I haven't looked at the stats of that. But yeah, fair play to him. And like every season, we are always talking about the injury worries for Callum Wilson, and touch wood, that he sees it through, because he has been on fire for us, and obviously doing so well in April and on the mark again in May. So. Keep banging them in, Callum Wilson.
Yeah, he's on 17. Okay, so he's fifth in the top scorers list. So he's on set. So we've got Erling Haaland on 35, Harry Kane on 27 after his penalty today. Ivan Toney's on 20. Didn't realise it made the 20 mark. Mo Salah's on 19 in fourth, and then Callum Wilson in fifth is on 17. Interesting, very, very interesting. Yeah, so yeah, doing well, well. Sorry, that's
another question in, and this is we've got I suppose you could call him a Genie Wijnaldum in the chat there as well. So gee, they're all popping in tonight. The real Michael Owen, the real Alan Thompson, and the real Genie Wijnaldum. But he asked, do you think Dummett will get a new deal? We need four club-produced players for the European competition.
Yes, I do. I think he'll get another year.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think he'll get another year because we need it. Yeah, we need it. I think we need 8 8 sort of British-based homegrown players that have been trained at a club in this country, or England or Wales, and then we need 4 that have been homegrown. I thought it was between 17 and 21, but apparently it's between the ages of 15 and 21. That they have to have played 3 years at the club or trained 3 years at the club to qualify. So we've got lots of young lads that qualify as a homegrown, but it's kind of after the age of 21 that they count to your squad, because under the age of 21, you don't necessarily have to play them. You don't have to put them in the squad. They can still play for your team. Like, so for example, I had initially Elliot Anderson as part of the 4, but actually because of when his birthday is and because he's 21 now, he doesn't have to be registered for Europe. So we don't have to register him because he counts as a non-registered player that's homegrown that could just play anyway, which then leaves another space for somebody else. So there's a chance there that happens, that Elliot Anderson next season becomes that additional one that just plays because he can and he qualifies without having to register him. And then we put someone like Dummett in as part of the 4. So, yeah, it's an interesting one.
I just had a thought there. Wouldn't it be great if Elliot Anderson scores his first goal, and that goal is the goal that guarantees Champions League football? That'd be a dream first goal, wouldn't it? Could happen. That one could happen.
I think the roof would come off St. James's Park, honestly.
He's been unlucky a few times this season, but wow, that would be amazing. Another question from Irish Bear, and he asked the question, are we getting top 4? It's a yes for me still.
Yeah, it's in our hands, and until it's not, I still believe we'll get top 4. So yeah, you're not going to change my mind. I honestly, Daz, I've come on here still positive, and I know you've been the same as well. I've come on here still positive. Yeah, the performance wasn't great today, but 9 times out of 10 before we'd have got beat today, but we took a point out there. Should have probably won, but we're still continuing to build and get points. These next 2 home games are the games that, if we go and win these 2 home games, which I believe we will, we've got nothing to worry about.
Like, would you rather be us, who have the 66 points, have 2 home games and an away game left, or be Liverpool, who and a better goal difference, or be Liverpool on 62 points, have 2 away games and 1 home game left? Us.
If you ask any Liverpool fan, they'll tell you they'd rather be in our position.
Yeah, Klopp would say the same thing. If we was telling the truth, he would as well. So it's still, as Pete says, it's still in our hands. Anything else, Pete, before we round off the night?
Yeah, question from Michael as well. If Longstaff is not fit, how do we fix that midfield problem? So it's interesting. We talked about the Willett, Joelinton, Bruno not working or not seeming to be fitting nicely together in the way they play. How do we fix that problem if Longstaff's not fit? Just to give some context, Eddie Howe didn't give a time frame on Longstaff. He said he could be available for the next games. But equally, he might not be available for the rest of the season. He hasn't given a time frame on it, so we don't know whether to expect him or not.
I suppose one option, I don't think he'll go down this route, would be to start with a 4-2-3-1 and have Isak behind Wilson. But I don't know. I think he'll still go with his tried and trusted. He'll still start with the 4-3-3. Who knows? We might see Longstaff back on Thursday, or for those remaining 2 games. We never know. It'll twist and turn. With ligament damage, it's not usually a long-term thing. So it is possible that he could come on Thursday. But then it was a case of, would he start him? I think he'd be better off starting him. But what do you think there, Pete?
Honestly, I think he'll go with them because we haven't got any other options. I think that I genuinely believe that that's what he will go for, not unless he changes the formation and does what he did against Leeds,
Yeah.
where he puts Isak in the number 10, and he makes it more of a rigid 4, and he's acting just in and around Callum Wilson and does it that way. I don't know. But yeah, I think genuinely he'll stick with the midfield 3 that he's got right now. And we'll play through it until Longstaff is fit, if he does make it before the end of the season. But I do think we'll see him before the end of the season. Whether it's at Brighton, I don't know, but I think we might see him against Leicester and Chelsea. If we still need him for the Chelsea game, if we've got Champions League by then, I don't think he'll play him. If we've got Champions League as well, I genuinely think that he might not even play Bruno. He might just say, Bruno, go and get your surgery, go and sort your ankle out. Yeah, have the last game off. But let's see. We'll see how that one pans out. But I do expect him to keep to that same one. And David Cook's put crowd and ground can be intimidating, but the players need to step up and not crumble. And that was kind of the conversation we're having earlier. And I mentioned that someone had put the comment in. It was David, and that's what we need. We do need the fans to get behind them, and the players do respond to that. Will they crumble? I don't believe they've crumbled this season in any big moment. You can maybe argue the cup final. I just don't think we played well in the cup final. I don't think we crumbled. So I don't worry about us crumbling. But we need to get behind them. And not just at the beginning of the game when they come out onto the pitch. I mean, when they're on the pitch, in game. Every tackle, every pass, every shot, every free kick corner that we get, we need to be ramping it up. We need to be getting behind them every corner, up on your feet. That's the type of backing that we need for these players, because these players need that extra bit of 10% to get them through. They do look tired. It's been a tough season, as I said before. So that was just one of the points.
What I'm going to say next beat, and as you're going to look for see if there's any more last remaining questions, just want to remind people, thanks for watching, like and comment as you have done, and hit that subscribe button if you're new. So especially hit that like button, especially everyone that's listening to us now on your way out. Mate, don't forget to do that. But a shout out to our sponsors as well. Then so a shout out to the radiatorshed.com, and if I'm just gonna remove that comment for 1 sec so we can see it. Where is the comment?
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, theRadiatorShed.com. And if you know by now all about Russ's Rads, and put ourselves in jail. And here the latest pictures on the Rads. And yeah, must check out Russ now, because he was due to come back to me on the showroom and more pictures and his new venture that he's starting up on those Rads, because there's something that I wanted to drop in here to people as well. Of course, this time of year, people aren't thinking about Rads, especially with nice weather. But hey, winter is never too far away. So and here's Russ with our top goal scorer there in Callum Wilson. And ever since Callum Wilson met Russ, it's all changed for him. So I don't know. Bringer of good news. And the Install Works is Russ's other company. And if you need to get those Rads solved, Russ will come, or someone part of his company will come in the loaded van, and like the A-team van, and sort that out for you. And also a shout out to H2O Bathroom Design Co., the Northeast's largest supplier of Velcro and Botch bathroomware. Team Valley Gateshead, over 20 years established, ran by the family. Get down to the showroom on 11th Avenue, Team Valley Estate, Gateshead. And here's some of the lovely bathrooms available, and I'm sure they've probably even changed up the showrooms again. So we must get some new pictures as we lead into the summer, which is just around the corner. Only 2 weeks left or so of the season. So it's as we've discussed, very interesting. Pete, that is it for the sponsors. Maybe I should let people know as well what's coming. Have you any last question you want to go to before we do that?
Yeah, there's a few others to race through.
Let's do that first.
One second. What are your thoughts on this? Not the only one to say it, but Poch is now being confirmed as the new Chelsea manager. Does that in your mind change things in the build up to the game? Last game of the season. I don't think he'll be in the dugout for them, but does that change anything for you?
So is he starting in the new season, or is he starting?
It'll be summer, I imagine.
Okay. If he was there and he was it would worry me a bit more what the last, because they drew at Forest today, didn't they? And they're poor all around the place, and yeah. You imagine him coming in there will have an effect if he's in there before the end of the season. That last game of the season would worry me more if if those percentage odds of us getting the Champions League might dip slightly, but hopefully it won't come to that. Hopefully we'll have it all done and dusted by that stage. So we'll see. Will it worry you?
No, I'm not worried. I've just had a look now, and it says from next season, we manager.
Yeah, well then that's fine.
Look, they are shipping goals for fun, and there are gaps to be exploited. The one concern, and a few Newcastle fans have said it. I think Michael Palmer said it on social media earlier. With it, obviously, it's typical that Raheem Sterling is now picking up form. He scored 2 goals today, but I'm not worried about Raheem Sterling. We create a lot of chances in games. So therefore, I think we'll take our chances at Stamford Bridge. But let's hope that Champions League is confirmed before then. 2 home games, that's the focus. That's for sure from my perspective. Someone confirmed that Eddie Howe said he had a groin issue, but nothing serious. So he was still on the bench, so it must not be that serious. That was just mentioned there. Sydney's very confident. We're getting top 4 Thursday. Leicester will win on Monday. Wow. That is confidence from Sydney, that's for sure.
Like that one, Sydney.
Yeah, I'll take that all day long. Question. If we need homegrown players, does that open an opportunity for Matty Longstaff? He's got an ACL that he's coming back from, but his contract's out in the summer. So do you think that will manifest into a potential renewal of a contract? What do you think, Dad?
No, I don't think so. And if you think about it from his own point of view, he needs to be playing football. If it's just to make up a number, it's a waste of a career. Then it really. No, he needs to go out and be playing regular first team football. Sean has met it at Newcastle. Matty had that goal against Man United. I think he needs first team football somewhere else and lower down the leagues and try and get back into the Premier League. Then, so no, not for me.
Okay. Interesting. Obviously, we know that Southampton got relegated today.
Yes.
Officially got relegated, lost to Fulham. Mitrovic came back from the suspension and scored. Foxy put in there, Lavia will surely return to Man City. Because I think before that, someone talked about Lavia as a potential signing for Newcastle, as their first option, and Gundogan, Bernardo Silva rumoured to leave in the summer. No chance of letting him join a rival. Now, Geordie Jack came back reported that a buyout for Lavia doesn't kick in till the season after next. So not guaranteeing that's true from himself. But, again, if there isn't that automatic buyout from Man City, would you take Lavia at Newcastle?
Yes, I'd take Lavia. Also, I'd take Walker Peters, our friend Pete, who we like. Ward Prowse, I think it's going to be like a crazy fee and not worth it. Then he does great delivery of the ball, obviously, and greater free kicks. But I think he'll go elsewhere. But I'd definitely be looking towards Walker Peters as someone we should make a move for. But yeah, it is a bit sad that Southampton getting relegated there. They're being around the Premier League. I think it was for the last 11 years they've been in the Premier League. But yeah, I'm sure they'll come back up again. They usually have a good youth system in Southampton, so hopefully they'll get a chance to prove themselves next season. And it was an awful mess on this season. So many managers, so much chopping and changing. It was kind of inevitable for them. And feel a bit sorry for Mike as well, who comes in away days. A nice guy. Sure. What can you do though? Someone has to go down, as we found out ourselves before.
That's it. I'll drop him a message to check in on him. But yeah, it'd be a shame to see him go down. Obviously, someone I know really well, Shay Adams, getting ready. He might well get his move back to the Premier League. He scored a number of goals. I think he might even be Southampton's top goal scorer this season. So no doubt he'll get a move back to the Premier League, unless he wants to be the guy that gets them promoted again. Who knows? But look, we'll see. Foxy puts, wouldn't be surprised to see if Leicester get some type of result Monday versus Liverpool. I think we'll drop more points, but maybe still cling on to top 4. I think that's a fair assessment. Are you of the mindset that you don't care whether we finish 3rd or 4th? We just want Champions League?
It doesn't matter. No, look, ideally we'd finish 3rd and we'd finish ahead of Man United, but getting Champions League, if you offer me that now, I take it. Like what? It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, honestly, like I'm not even thinking about Man United. I only saw their final result. Not watching their game. I'm only thinking about Liverpool because they're the team that can stop us from getting that. The only time that for me will change is if Liverpool come to the table and it's a straight shootout between all 3 of us, and if Man U start dropping points and fall into 5th, for example, and it's us and Liverpool in 3rd or 4th tussling it out. That's when I'll start to worry about what they do. But I'm just worried. I'm just not worried, but I'm just focusing on Liverpool right now. I don't know if anyone else in the chat is the same.
I know I am still focused on Man United as well, because I would like them. So would you, like, to slip up along the way, and because it just it brings them more. Even Mitro. I was going to get to that because Mitro scoring today is good because Man United play them in the last game of the season, and someone said before that he could offer a revenge there, but. So it's getting bunched. So it's going to be interesting, isn't it?
It definitely is. And look, Michael Palmer said, manual are important. Though they are important, but I'm just thinking of just securing Champions League from that perspective.
And don't rule out Brighton either. We're like we can Arsenal can take them out of the equation. We can take them out of the equation. Man City can also take them out of the equation. They're on tender hooks there. You don't that run in and the amount of games they have to play. So I know that's why you're not even considering them, Pete. But don't write them off just yet either, because who knows?
Their next game is away at Bournemouth. Bournemouth can be either an easy place to play.
Man United, yes.
Yeah, their game, their next game, Man United. Sorry, their next game is Bournemouth away. For some teams it's an easy game, for some teams it's not. That could be a difficult game that they maneuver in that kind of fight for Champions League. But really interesting, I wanted to bring this up. We're literally coming towards the end now, but Jordan for Life says 5 qualify for the Champions League next season. I had heard this before. Because of our coefficient, we are at the point where, say for example Man City win the Champions League, that builds our coefficient up. If we have a good season next season and all of the English teams get to the knockout phases, it builds our coefficient up. And there is a chance that we could have where 5 teams from England qualify for the Champions League. Now that would just suit us down to the ground. That would put us potentially right in the mix for Champions League football, or backing that up again.
Yeah. That's going to be very handy because we're going to be in Europe next season. We have so much ground to do in the transfer window. This is our chance for Champions League this season. It mightn't be as easy isn't maybe not the right word, but to get Champions League next season, it'll be Chelsea back into it again, and Liverpool aren't going to start as badly as they did this season. So with all those games for us next season, and needing one transfer window isn't going to be enough to and building our youth system as well isn't going to be enough. So it is going to be more difficult for us next season, I think, to keep fighting on all fronts. So having that extra Champions League spot could be vital. Unless we win it and we get to automatically qualify, you never know.
Yeah, well, let's wait and
Let's
see.
get there first.
Yeah, exactly that. Marco Palmer says, question: would you take your chances with a draw, against Brighton, win at Leicester, and draw and Chelsea draw? Would you take your chances on that? That's your 5 points there.
Yeah, that might need goal difference then for us to go to finish in Champions League spot. No, I wouldn't, Michael. No, I wouldn't. And look at Eddie Howe answer. It's all about Brighton. Forget about Leicester and Chelsea game. All about Brighton now, and we have to go for it at home. We don't want to draw. We want to win. And Eddie will never set up for a draw in that game. He will be. He always says he'll be go out to win a game.
Great question, though.
Yeah, it is a good question, Michael.
Maystone Junction and Outstabled says squad needs to show its mentality and the club mentality. We need to go from the nearly club to actually doing it. Book the trend. 3 games are massive. Never expected this, but chance must be seized. I think it's a great point in that, although we never expected to be here, is securing Champions League will do wonders, not just for our mentality, but for the mentality of other teams and clubs and players that come against us, because they know we can actually get the job done. Like, we can actually get the job done. If we don't get Champions League, a lot of teams will go, they thought they were getting it, they bottled it, blah, blah, blah. You're going to get all of this from opposition fans. Whether it's true or not is a different conversation, but you're going to get that. And the mentality about Newcastle shifts slightly, but we are coming with so much power at the moment, so much force. People are genuinely scared about Newcastle United. If we get Champions League and secure it and do what we expect them to do, it's going to add to the fear factor. St. James is going to be even more of a cauldron next season. We might even go into games winning them before we even kicked a ball, because of the fear factor that we used to have. We used to have it under Sir Bobby Robson and Kevin Keegan. Games used to be won before we even kicked a ball, because of the fear factor of some of the lower teams in the league coming to us knowing that they weren't going to get anything from the game. Like, that all builds to the mentality. So I think that Maystone, I think it's a really, really good point. But Daz, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm afraid of our transfer window and our fully loaded transfer shows in the summer. If we get that Champions League, it's just going to be mental. It's already, we know it's going to be mental, but it's just going to be a different scale altogether.
Daz, you already know what we've got planned.
The first week, the season, we've got shows lined up. The season ends on May the 28th. We've got shows lined up for the 29th, for the 30th already, and we could nearly do a show every day after that. I don't know. I need to be a cloned or something like that to get through this summer that's ahead.
Don't be afraid. Let's just take it as it comes, day by day. Let's just enjoy every moment, mate. It's gonna
we will.
The summer's going to be a blast, and we're going to have some fun with this. By the end of it, we'll be shattered and drained like we normally are after a transfer window. But I tell you what, I think we're going to have some fun with this in the summer.
Yeah.
So,
we only have to look to worry about a 50, 60 game season ahead first after that.
Could be more. Who knows? Depending on how far we go in the cups. But hey, all part of the fun in games. But great point in there from Maystone. Great to have you on. And Lisa Moles just said, just imagine shows next season, not only discussing scoring players, we'll be doing it for VAR conversations also. 5-hour shows. I've made that mistake before, Lisa. No 5-hour shows. Definitely not.
You know what? I think we might start advertising, because we're going to need a bigger squad ourselves, Pete. Poor Chris couldn't make it tonight. He's actually to shout out to Summer on our first Holy Communion, and obviously Chris couldn't be with us there. But yeah, we need to get bigger and better ourselves. It's going to be mental.
And the last one is from Lisa as well. And it says, yes, Ian McKenna. I think Ian McKenna put a point earlier on, a positive comment on the chat. Everyone needs to get back on the positivity train. we are third, and that is the best way to finish a show. We are still third in the league. Nothing's changed after us getting a point today at Ellen Road, even though we expected 3. We're still in control of our own destiny. 2 home games next up, 6 points on the board, guarantees us Champions League football. That's all you need to know.
Nice bit of positivity there from Lisa to round off the show. Now, we've done our sponsors already. We're going to tell you what's coming in the next, actually tomorrow. Tomorrow is our next show. So, Pete, here's the poster. Tell us what's happening tomorrow.
Battleground Europe is back, and this is the final 4. So we've got representatives from Man United inside TV. We've got Errol coming back representing Liverpool, and we've got Adam. Depending on Mother's Day in the States, maybe not. May even depend on the Arsenal result on Sunday, whether he makes an appearance or not. So it might even be the final 3 by the time we get to the show. But the boys are coming on to talk all things Champions League, because these are the final 4 that are fighting for these positions. We're going to get down to it, and we're going to talk fixtures. We're going to talk what each team and each club expects in the run-ins to their games. Come and join us Sunday evening from 7:30. It's going to be a great chat. Really looking forward to it. And look, get your questions in. If you want to know anything about the opposition, Liverpool, Man United, Brighton, throw your questions out there. That's for sure. So lots to talk about on the final 4, Battleground Europe. There have been some tremendous shows this year so far, Battleground Europe, and this is going to be another cracker as well.
It's in our hands. We can almost taste it or grab it there. Yes, so that was the team behind that one. So nice. And then Tuesday, back again with the Wales. Wales is back for the Brighton game. It's going to come around quick. And tell us about that, Speed.
Yeah, so Adam's going to be joining us again, double whammy. Obviously, depending on Mother's Day in America. So we might not join us on the Sunday, but he'll definitely be here on Tuesday as we preview the massive game at St James's Park on Thursday against Brighton. So we're going to be talking all things Brighton, getting the lowdown. We are aware they've got a few injuries at the moment to key players. So we'll certainly ask him the questions on that. And look, we need you from the chat. You come and join us and ask the opposition fans a question. If you watched Battleground Europe 3, Adam made his debut on Loaded Mag NUFC, and he was a brilliant,
very
brilliant
good. Yeah.
Very, very good guest, very knowledgeable, as all the away days guests are. So come and join us. It'll be a great chat. Don't miss it.
Nice one. And then we're back on Friday for the reaction show to the Brighton game. And then we'll be talking about, after that, we'll be talking about Leicester. There'll be an away days for Leicester. And you know what? If we've been talking about this, if there's a chance that we clinch the Champions League spot on that Leicester game, if we have to get that far first, we would do a reaction show right after, and then we'd be late. But stay tuned for that. Keep an eye if we're getting that close. So it may not happen yet, but we will see where we are. But that is it for the night. Pete, thanks for joining me. Thanks everyone in the chat. Everyone who has hit the like button already and is about to hit it on the way out. Everyone that's new and that's subscribed, and for sticking with us. We didn't win today. We on to the next game. The Brighton game, all on for that. But I guess only one thing left to say, Pete. How'd you like that? How you like?
Like me, then tell me I be like that, like that.